Go, Mike.
You ready? Oh, shit. Welcome back, Twins at Law. What's up, Fletch?
Nothing's up, Michael. What's up with you?
Nada.
Where you been, man? Why aren't we putting up some product lately?
Well, one is, as I was telling you, I was at McDonald's.
Right.
And I just had that awkward moment of saying to the lady, "Oh, are you pregnant?" She goes, "Oh, I'm not pregnant."
Right.
Which is sad because I've seen her every day for 4 days a week for 3 years. And I just, there's no way to segue out of it.
Yeah, you just turn and walk out.
I just throw my card, forget it.
Like all right, $80 tip. This is for you and the baby.
I'm like, are you sure you're not pregnant? Are you positive? Because you look pregnant.
Right.
So
I think it's more your problem. I think that you haven't noticed that this woman has the body of a pregnant woman for multiple years.
That's saying something if I haven't noticed that too.
It's saying a lot. I mean, I'm not saying you're self-absorbed or anything, but it may be a hint.
I don't think, well, it's not self-absorbed. It's just she's not cute enough. I mean, if she were more attractive, I would have looked at her. I'm the victim.
Well, I think you are the victim. Speaking of victims. Let's talk about Robert Sarver.
Look at him. Look at this dude.
This is Robert Sarver. This is the owner of the Phoenix Suns, NBA basketball team. This gentleman got himself in a little bit of trouble recently.
Small amount.
Yeah.
What's crazy about him, I think that his ownership misconduct is the most egregious, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I agree.
And what's crazy, it's in the NBA. The NBA is what? I think it's 91% African American.
Let's say there's 5 African Americans.
Well, let's say this.
The level of conduct of Sarver is so egregious that it makes Donald Sterling look like a fucking saint.
How many 5'6" Jewish men are in the NBA playing?
Currently none.
All right,
but
so
I think
there's more African Americans than
there are
5'6" Jewish.
But as
men.
I've said over and over, this isn't a black problem. This is a bad people problem. And Robert Sarver has been suspended for 1 year from his operations of the Phoenix Suns because his hands-on coaching.
Sure.
Showing the post game. My post game. And he was fined $10 million. And this was done after ESPN started this whole thing by running a pretty in-depth article demonstrating and proving and laying out this cat's history of just a racist pig. So one of the things that happened that caused...
Nigger.
You got it.
All right.
So the Adam Silver, who's the commissioner of the NBA, had a law firm by the name of Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen and Katz. And they issued
a good Catholic firm,
probably. But to their credit, allegedly there were African Americans and women involved in issuing this report.
I bet you Rosenberg and Katz does not have a single African American partner.
Let's Rosen and Katz. The Rosenberg part is you just added in.
All right. Well, the rest of it, I guarantee they don't have a single African American partner.
Well, one of their claims to fame at this firm is they're the highest paying firm in the world. They have very limited number of partners, and they make on average about $7-8 million. All
right, cut to this
per partner.
Okay, it's the fix is in.
All right, now the fix is in is the issue here, and this is how I get to it. This firm is very famous for doing acquisitions and mergers. They do a lot of bank business. Do you know what Mr. Sarver's first business was?
Bought a bank at 23.
He bought a bank at 23 years old.
But he had saved all the money. He was doing paper routes and saving.
So do you think if you're from a family that you can buy a bank at 23, you would be in the group that we generally agree the fix is in for?
Oh, absolutely.
So
I think they've written the fix.
Right. If anyone whose son's 23 and says, "Mom, Dad, I just bought a bank," I think most of us would be fairly happy.
I'd be stunned.
I'd be stunned and shocked. Well, you would be stunned because you don't have any
right.
sons.
I'd be fucking wow.
So if your son,
Attaboy,
home,
I knew it.
The prodigal child returns.
But and it's not just what they've done. It's a seemingly the partner who issued the ruling, white dude, issues a ruling and Sarver saying nigger, and I can call you nigger. And putting his dick in people's face, there was no racial connotation relative to that.
And it's a connotation, racial animus.
I'm sorry.
And so as we,
this is
literally their report. So everything we're going to put up here is literally from the report. We've just redacted it down. So go to the next page and we can start off So what we're talking about here is that the officers or the investigators are able to confirm every aspect of the allegations made by ESPN.
I love this part. Sarver often acted aggressively in an apparent effort to provoke a reaction from his targets. Sarver's sense of humor was sophomoric and inappropriate.
Right. And that's really important because you got to read the other part. That's why they claim that none of the things that he did were racially motivated or sexually motivated or intended to intimidate or sexually harass the men he put his cock in front of their face when they were down on their knees, because it was sophomoric.
But I think we should put that dude's picture on. It's like that's the real news here. We should take the dude. So this 5'6" white guy put his dick in your face and you didn't drop his ass.
Well, that's what that goes along with the power. It's the power of being in the fix. When you're in the fix, you can do whatever you want. There's nobody out there, if you took your cock out and put it in someone's face, that you want to get sued, beat up, or charged.
If Sarver put his dick in my face, I'd drop him.
Well, not if you were a guy trying to pay your rent and your bills and try to keep the roof over the kids' head.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
So what happens then is that they've come, this firm does this 9-month investigation. Took them 9 months to come to the conclusions. And one of the things that they did is they were very braggadocious about saying, we even got the Phoenix Suns to turn over their NDA agreements or NDAs. And what are NDAs, counsel?
Non-disclosure agreements.
So what is that? What are those generally used for, Mike?
Well, we know, here's what we know is in the Deshaun Watson case, it ended up with a 13-game suspension, right? Or 12-game?
I think it's 11 games.
11 involving NDAs and how they were used. And it's what you get employees to sign so that they won't sue you when you put your dick in their face.
So what it is I put my dick in your face. You say that's fucked up.
No.
You call your lawyer calls me up and says, we're going to sue you for $1 million. And you say, how about $500,000? And we say, how about $600,000? We just want an NDA. Is that a fair assessment?
Yep.
So it's basically a way to cover up your actions. You use your money to pay it off, and you get an NDA that basically says, if you talk about this ever again, we get to come take the money back and sue you, right?
Right.
But what was funny in this case.
So part of their settlement with this guy is the Phoenix Suns said, we'll produce all of our NDA agreements.
Correct. But the second part that came up was the fact that they then claimed that we have really, really bad bookkeepers.
I don't know where they went.
They just disappeared.
It's right there.
So even though they admit.
I had it sitting right there yesterday.
Right on the corner of my table.
How many were there? There was.
So literally, there was over 125 people that they tried to contact from the Phoenix Suns who never contacted them back. And they didn't take that into consideration. They just assumed those people did not want to participate. Reasonable assumption is they got 125 NDAs and they don't want to give the money back. Yeah. Is that fair to say?
But and this just, again, this is back to the Deshaun Watson, but it's also back, as we were arguing about earlier, this is a black person problem. You say it's not, it is a black person problem.
Right.
Black people run the NBA, and this dude is still in business?
That's bullshit.
No, it's
black people don't run shit. They run in the NBA.
Therein lies the
They
problem.
run up and down a court, but they don't run the NBA. There's one black owner in the NBA.
This is
one.
By the way, did you see what's his face posted something from Alex Jones?
No.
Kyrie Irving?
No.
Just dude, just as nutty as you get, dude.
Okay, but back to our point. One of the things that the
you don't think it's an African American issue that if the NBA, put it this way, if this guy would have been,
blame the victims.
I'm not. Well, they aren't victims. In this case, these are a bunch of multimillionaires who have no fucking integrity, and the idea that you would allow all of them. Okay. I'm painting the broad brush, all of them, except for Kyrie Irving, who apparently likes Alex Jones. The idea that the NBA, that these cats haven't said, that is not, we won't allow that.
Well, that's one of the interesting points, because Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, who by all standards is some wonderkind of running the NBA.
Purportedly.
He says one of the reasons.
He says, what do you want me to do?
He says, one, I do not own the teams. I can't make them give up their ownership.
Do you think he did the white guy look like?
I don't know That's a white guy.
That is. It's what do you, I don't know what to
Well,
do.
Here's what Adam Silver did.
I mean, what are we supposed to do?
This is what Adam Silver did.
It's what do we do? I don't know what to do.
He says, I can't make him sell his team. And he said, most importantly, this stuff happened a long time ago, like a decade ago. So really, he's now warned in the future that future conduct will result in some sort of...
The plane stuff was 2021.
Yeah, it was 2021. The plane stuff we're going to talk about. There was also the issues of gender bias and racial bias and sexual bias and all of these things. But
now, do you think he made homosexual overtures?
He put his cock in the man's face.
I mean, that is it's one of those things where surely there's okay. If putting your dick in a straight dude's face does not warrant something.
All right, let's start with the one that's important to your argument that it's a black people's thing. One of the things that they were able to substantiate were multiple occasions when Sarver, and what you have to appreciate is the comfort and confidence he rolls this word off his tongue with.
Sure.
He even at some point.
I don't think this was isolated.
I don't think it was either, but he even had the argument at that one of the occasions he said, I used nigger, not nigger.
Could you imagine the person prepping him on that? No, it's guh, nigga. He's like, all right, let me see if I get nigger. No, guh. All right, guh.
Sarver admitted that he used the N-word multiple times during college recruitments, but one of the main things he did is that he was telling a coach who was African-American and Hispanic, he was pissed off. He's livid. He said, why in the fuck can X player say nigger, 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 and I can't say nigger, 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 nigger? Literally. And the coach says, you can't say that. He says, I can say nigger, nigger, nigger.
Apparently he can.
Not only can, but he's not going to get sanctioned for it because the gentleman who was overseeing this whole thing found there's no racial bias, no racial animus. Meaning that when he was saying, I can say nigger, nigger, nigger,
I meant it as a nice guy.
I was talking about white people. Because
he's like, it's like, he goes like what happens in LA right now, like brothers and Latino brothers and African-American brothers, they say the N-word and it's different. And so he was just trying to reflect the evolving community and the evolving use of the N-word.
Right. Or he meant nigger, 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 nigger.
Oh, and he meant that I get to say nigger, nigger, nigger. But again, this is the point. If this was, if I'm just going to go out on a limb, if someone has said, I hate Jews, I hate Jews, I hate Jews, Adam Silver or the guy who investigated this, I'm guessing they went and say, oh, but there was no Jewish animus toward that. But let me finish. And that's the thing, is that 90% of the NBA is filled with African Americans. And if you having a 5'6" white guy saying nigger, nigger, nigger doesn't offend you, or you don't find that to be racially animus or involve racial animus, what's your problem?
Right. Well, but there's one thing where you're wrong about it. The nigger, nigger, nigger thing wasn't in 2021. That was the white people in front, niggers in back.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the plane.
Right.
That was the, which by the way would certainly.
Can we go 13 real quick, Solomon? Page 13.
Which would certainly involve, so you're on a plane and you're saying African Americans have to be at the back of the plane, white people at front. I mean, again, but it's back to this premise. There's nobody. What about, isn't that the fucking, who's the H&R Block guy? No, the insurance guy who does who's the point guard for the Arizona? Is it the Phoenix?
Chris Paul.
Yeah. Chris Paul, he's president of the Players Association, isn't he?
He is now, or he certainly has been in the past.
Chris Paul, and you don't say a word? You're not saying I will. Chris Paul is worth $300 million.
Well, sure he is.
And Chris Paul doesn't say, I will not tolerate that type of language being used about people who look like me. That's a black person thing. And LeBron, who I love more than anything, the idea that LeBron James has not buried this guy.
Well, LeBron's buried him. LeBron's come out and buried him.
What LeBron hasn't said
After
is,
the coach
we won't
said,
play.
You can't fucking say that. Sarver replied, I can say nigger, nigger, nigger.
N-word, N-word, N-word. Yes, you may say the N-word. It's absurd.
2016. And remember the reason why Adam Silver said, one of the two reasons, one, he didn't believe it indicated racial animus. When you turn to an African-American and a Latino kid coach who's saying, you can't say that, that's offensive. And he said, I can say nigger, nigger, nigger. to you who happens to be my employee, that is nothing but racial animus. What else? There's no greater sign.
But there's no.
How about this? If you're Jewish and I call you a kike, am I showing racial animus? Because that's certainly what I am. If you're gay and I call you a fag, that's showing animus. If you're black and I call you a nigger, or you're Hispanic and I call you a spick or a wetback, that is racial animus. And if I repeat
I don't think
it,
you're really cutting
and
breaking news.
I know it may be. We never know. And if I repeat it to you after you say, "How dare you say that?" Don't say that to me, and I say, "Nigger, nigger, nigger." That is racial animus.
Agreed 100%. But the issue here again is the NBA Players Association and this Adam Silver. And I've been listening to how great he is all along. If you look at the number, if you look at the NBA front office, there's just no black people.
Right.
And it drives me crazy. But so Adam Silver goes out and hires a firm to work and hires a white guy to say, "Hey, Mr. White Guy Lawyer, could you reach a conclusion as to whether the N-word is racially offensive?" The idea of that you won't hire an African American
Right.
or a Latino,
Right.
but you will hire a white guy who works for a New York firm that
Works in mergers and acquisitions of large banks.
So
and you hire a guy who
the white
owns
guy
banks.
is the white guy is the definitive word on what is racially.
Let's see what else he said.
It's appalling, dude. It's worse than race norming. But this
20,000 in page 14, so. And there we go again. On 2 occasions, 2010 and 2017, this guy walks on a plane and repeats the story. Literally repeats it. 2010, 2017, he admits it. Everybody's there. It says white people to the front, niggers to the back.
Well, this one is about him confirming that he said the N-word again.
Well, of course.
N-word. But again, this is white people to the front, niggers to the back.
Right.
What's crazy to me, and I know that
And his argument was, he says, "I don't remember if I used the N-word when I was telling the story."
I may have been saying something else.
But let's play it out. White people to the front, black people to the back.
What
would that be racial? Would that show racial animus?
100%. Unless he's being, if he is being funny,
Twice.
it would be hilarious.
Twice.
But he's not being funny. He's doing what? But here's the thing that gets me.
On the plane he owns, he's telling where people see.
Well, I understand, and of course it's racial animus. But this is the point where this is a white person problem in the context of, as God is my witness. If I were there and there's a black guy stood up and said white people in the back, I'd say, man, what are you saying? And you have all these white people on the plane not saying a word, not saying it's the problem with this country right now. It's the problem of people saying, oh, well, they were just joking when they were talking about, sending in a new selector, a set of selectors for the United States presidency. Where are people? Where are white people? Where are black people? This is, again, club members. Multicultural people are going to save the world, because I would say, man, are you crazy? Are you crazy? Yeah. And who wants to be around this dude, man? I mean, it's like, God.
When he's paying, again, there's what a great line one of my secretaries had is, you confuse friendly with friends. And a lot of these people are trying to pay their bills. And when they have women who are being sexually harassed by this guy, him asking them, did you get a new tit job? Did you get them redone? They're trying to pay their bills, and it's a question that's happened forever.
And I agree.
This isn't a Harvey Weinstein thing when he asked the lady, come to my motel room at 3:00 in the morning and shave your pussy before you come. I think you put on fair notice what's going to happen there. If I go to work at the Phoenix Suns and someone walks in and says, pulls his cock out and puts it in my face, male or female, I wasn't warned about that.
And agreed. The issue, though, and back to the fix being in, is this is the premise, and this is one of the whole points of us doing this show. That is fun. There is no legal predicate for that happening, and just stark responses not being taken. The comments on the plane, that implicates federal law. You couldn't go on a plane and call a stewardess a nigger, and no one has done anything.
Right.
It's, again, this fix being in, and there's one category of people, the super rich, who get to do outrageous things.
Which goes back to one of the original findings, that they thought he was sophomoric, and they thought that he just wanted to antagonize people, and he didn't believe the rules were for him. That's true. He did not believe.
He's like, I'm white.
He does not believe the rules apply to him, because they don't. Because, as we said, once the fix is in, the fix is in. What we're trying to do is show people, before you make a decision, understand what the ground rules and the playing rules were here. And when this guy, 5'6", is walking around asking black men the size of their penises, and and asking white men, do you shave your balls and put in your cock in a white man's face who's doing his job? The problem is the fix doesn't usually stick to a set of really well-defined rules. They go wherever they want to. This cat feels he can do anything he wants.
Well, but he is the epitome of the fix being in, which is whatever I do is okay and no one's going to hold me accountable, including Adam Silver, who, and again, it's almost the devaluing of African Americans.
Almost.
I mean, it really is. You're in the fucking NBA and you're not concerned.
Well,
and you should have, because these brothers are like, what can you do?
Well,
Chris fucking Paul. That's embarrassing.
Here's one of the most shocking things about this, when he says, literally, he said, why they're trying to explain why he was going to hire a black coach. And he literally said, these niggers need a nigger.
See, this is so
Niggers
appalling.
need a nigger.
This is
in 2013. And this man has continued to own that team, continues to run the team, continues to receive all the benefits from it, all the accolades. And he said, the niggers need a nigger.
Now that's funny. See, now that is funny. Now Chris Paul could let that go, because that's a pretty good. Hey, the niggas need a nigger,
and no one gets the overseer ass.
It's just it's appalling.
The Django Unchained anywhere here. The niggers. It would be funny if you said it, arguably, or if I said it, when a white guy says, "I have figured out African American culture. Niggers need a nigger." Well, there's no racial animus.
So what
there.
he was saying, though, is it's a promotional opportunity for African Americans.
Promotional opportunities that he was trying to increase the diversity, except he was asked about diversity. If we go to page 15, he tells us that I think he was probably trying to promote diversity. Up a little bit more, please. But here's what he says. The coach responded,
I set you up on that one.
diversity, and Sarver erupted, no, I hate diversity. As the coach became agitated and started to stand up, the witness put his hand on the coach to keep him seated and said, Robert, you don't really hate diversity. Sarver responded, I do. I do.
Well, but he meant that he likes to have the same meal every night. I mean, that's appalling, by the way. But again, but it goes back to this, and again, this is a black person problem. This person is making hundreds of millions of dollars off a largely African-American entity, and nobody is saying anything.
Well, there's
what, and here's my other thing is, what does get you fired as an owner?
Well, you can't fire the owners. You can suspend them for life.
Yeah,
This is what's happened to Sterling. But and I'm going to the next example, page 16.
Why? What do you have to do to get suspended for life?
Well, this isn't good enough. But it goes back to the Uvalde sheriffs. It took them months to fire the guy. So this is literally, again, the fix is in until the fix is not in.
Where's ESPN on this? Where's ESPN who were going crazy on Deshaun Watson? Right. Deshaun Watson did this, and they paraded out all their black announcers to shit on Deshaun Watson for saying, where they're like, and he paid and settled it. And he still won't admit he's done anything wrong.
You mean like when the Terrell Owens was going into the Hall of Fame and they spent minutes and specific episode or produced these shows showing when he was crying and he had drug problems allegedly, but then we don't hear a word about Brett Favre got $5 million from the welfare department in Mississippi, or the poorest of the poor, or his drug issues, or the fact he sent pictures of his cock to a female reporter.
Now, what's the crazy part?
That's where ESPN is.
The crazy part about the female reporter, it's like, it looked just like your wife. What's the point? Have you seen it? The reporter looked just like his wife. Why just send your wife some porno then?
Maybe that was his out. He was so fucking high. I thought I was sending her a picture.
I'm taking somebody Vicodin and throwing up.
And then taking them out and eating them. But the funny part about his wife thing is this guy literally sits there, none of that's brought up. None of that's talking about.
Appalling.
But if it's Terrell Owens, they talk about that he may have dated his sister because his father had multiple children in the Dallas area. They didn't sleep together or anything of that nature, but that gets a full edited section about it. But Brett Favre literally getting millions of dollars to build a volleyball court or volleyball facility at his alma mater where his daughter plays volleyball at.
It's stunning. But again, it's back to African American athletes. If African American athletes said to ESPN, "This is not acceptable," this flat out, it drove me crazy in the Deshaun Watson shit. Where I'm offended because of what he said to those women. There were strippers and whores, and you're offended. They parade your sorry black ass out there to shit on the brother who actually has some credibility, has some integrity. Says I'm not paying him shit.
But you know the most interesting.
He's like I'm not paying him shit.
The most interesting aspect of what you just said is this fact. Have you seen a single one of these former black players or critics who are willing to come on and disparage Deshaun Watson and say he's a predator? Have you seen one of those fuckers back on TV?
Of course not. But
they brought him out and they used them literally.
Give us a black eye.
Come on, get someone out here.
Black eye in, black eye, roll him in. Come on in. Hey.
Who will be offended
whatever your name is.
And appalled.
Yes.
Because Deshaun Watson asked the stripper for a blowjob while he's getting a naked massage.
What's his name? Who's now on with
Cinco?
No, it's the other one.
Sam Acho?
Yeah. I was listening to that motherfucker. I was like, you make me puke. I mean, he was just burying Deshaun Watson. Well, if you weren't guilty, why did you settle?
Right.
And now you're saying, and it's like, it's called integrity and it's a business decision. And he still says, I didn't do anything wrong. And these motherfuckers just shit on the dude.
Right.
And I haven't heard a word. I haven't heard a word from whatever the fuck his name is. Sam Acho. I can't stand him, dude. I was listening. I'm like, you're a bitch ass motherfucker.
Well, that may be true, but he has some huge gums.
He really does, man. He really does.
It's one of the.
And he's with Joy now.
It's the greatest line ever. It says you have a face made for radio.
Can't stand that.
But let's talk about this real quick because I want to talk about when you keep saying it's a black thing, it's this. This is what happens when someone confronts him. Literally during the negotiation, Sarver was out there and he wanted the player who was representing the coach. He said, you guys shouldn't have the same representative. You know why that was a problem? Because his agent was black. The coach's agent, the player's agent was black. And Sarver told him literally, you get rid of that agent or I'm fire your ass, the coach. Coach refused to get rid of his agent. What did Sarver do? Fired the coach.
Well, and again, which goes back to the other premise of this show is any person that doesn't sue that dude is crazy. But the reality is in order to take action, you have to do anything, which is why it's so important for the player. Again, this is an African-American issue, is you have to act collectively.
No.
You could shut this dude down tomorrow if you acted collectively.
See, the African-Americans don't run the NBA, but the NBA,
they could run
Let
the
me
NBA.
finish. So when you have the NBA that allows the NBA, each individual team to use what? NDAs to do what? To settle actions, you end up with a coach who is threatened and fired. This is all verified, but you can't get the coach to sit down and talk. So everyone knows it happened, but because the coach won't sit down and talk, they don't necessarily consider it verified. However, you do know that they use NDAs.
Yeah, but the issue,
and you certainly know as an employment law lawyer, but millions of dollars, that is a wonderful suit. You win 99% of the time, and they settled it with an NDA and a bunch of money.
But that's the point. Well, it depends on the lawyer. But that's the point of the collective action of the NBA players. And admittedly, they don't do anything in the NBA other than play, but they have the ability to shut it down. And if you did nothing more than we won't walk on that court until Sarver is terminated or suspended for life, he would be suspended for life the next day.
Right. Well, because this goes back to one of the other things that we've talked about is the Live Golf Tour. And we've talked about this before, that literally if you ever wanted to put the NBA out of business, you find 32 people who want to make trillions of dollars over the course of their life, and you offer them 45% of the revenue.
Right.
Because the players right now aren't getting 55% of the revenue. And if you're like Live Golf and you wanted to create Live Basketball, you literally, they would build 32 stadiums.
That's what they should have done.
They would build 32 stadiums, and they'll say, we'll split it with you 70-30, and every single NBA player would run away.
And you could set it up economically so you can do that. But that's the other part.
Of course they can, because Live Golf or Live Basketball doesn't need the money. They're in the Hall.
Yeah, and that's the other part of this, though. The NBA salaries are such that you can take these stands and they're not going to hurt you. And yet you have the NBA. I mean, it's appalling. It's appalling. It was football, though, when the guy had made the anti-Semitic comment and they got the one, Edelman. Oh, let me explain. They did a whole series on Edelman explaining to him the connotation of the Jewish statement. It's like, for one comment, what are said about African Americans every day? And this is the point, though, this is an issue where
only nigger.
But this is also the point where all they have to say is, we won't walk out on the floor.
Well, I thought the funniest thing about that is that so Julian Edelman is going to instruct this guy on Judaism. I said, there's a lot of really, really, really smart people know something. Maybe Edelman is a historian. I just find it kind of interesting. They got the one Jewish guy and said, hey, why don't you go talk to the black dude?
It's crazy.
Because it's so racist on either side.
Where are we at in time?
All
right. We've only been going 13 minutes?
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
See, that's not. You sound like you've heard that before.
I would be.
So can we go to 23? Because I love this part. This is the part that one of the things that Sarver was accused of doing is he sent pictures of. He said, I used to participate in selecting the cheerleaders.
These are great.
But this is and he said one of the things he was accused of doing. He sent a picture of his wife in a bikini to the group because they wanted them to. Make the brochures to advertise this particular type of bikini. And two things came out. One, you got a fucking wife.
Oh, he's got a wife. He's like, oh yeah.
Listen to this. This is what they found to be true. Sarver once unnecessarily, and listen to the
unnecessarily
on penmanship, and then we'll translate.
All right.
I'll give you the legal writing. I'll give you the anchorman voice. First, Sarver once unnecessarily dropped his underwear and exposed his genitals to a male employee who was on his knees in front of Sarver performing a fitness check that Sarver had requested and had undergone before. Translation?
He pulled his dick out and said, why don't you give me a blowjob?
Yeah, pulled his cock out. He said, but...
Past experience would have taught Sarver that dropping his underwear was unnecessary for the fitness check.
Right.
The employee asked Sarver to pull his underwear back up, and Sarver did. The employee found Sarver's conduct inappropriate and recounted the incident.
What the fuck is inappropriate about taking my cock out when there's a doctor down in front of my face?
He's not even a doctor.
I mean, literally, you're this is what you're subjecting human beings to. This is why I say it ain't a black thing. It's a bad white motherfucker thing because he's doing that to a white guy who's fucking putting his cock in his face, which goes back to my other point. It's like, you have a wife?
Well, he's rich, dude. There's the Robert Ludlum, the author, and he says, if you want to find the rich guy in the room, find the ugly guy with the most attractive woman next to him.
I used to say that when I go to court, and I say, you see a hot chick sitting there, walk up to the calendar, find the guy who's charged with the worst fucking crime. Right there.
There she is.
Are you here for Mr. Smith? Yes. How did you know?
Just throwing it out there.
Sarver once grabbed a male employee at his son's holiday party and danced pelvis to pelvis with him. So he's drunk.
So the employee found Sarver's conduct unwelcome, uncomfortable, and inappropriate. So it was an assault and a battery.
A sexual battery.
And the first one has to be if you're Deshaun Watson,
be out.
I mean, it's just stunning.
If you pulled your cock out and put it in a doctor, this is just absurd.
What fitness check are you doing with just your? Because he said unnecessarily.
Don't act like you don't know.
Well, I don't know. It says unnecessarily dropped his underwear. What would it be?
I have no idea. I assume it was a cough test, don't you?
Yeah, but you have to take your underwear down for a cough test.
I'm just back to this point. How'd you get some guy to get down on his hands and knees in front of your fucking underwear to perform a fucking test?
That's gross.
That he's done multiple times before.
Well, let's go to him rubbing pelvis to pelvis with him.
How about Sarver used a shower meant for use by coaches and stood naked in front of male employees after emerging from the showers, standing there with his cock hanging out. I don't know, man. It's this.
He's like, any of you guys looking for a 5'6" little Jewish guy?
Can we go to page 25?
Wow, damn. Could you imagine if only a white guy could do this?
Well, of course. I mean, by definition. Now, here's the part that is so grossly offensive that I'm going to have to do some splaining, Lucy.
All right.
Okay. Sarver offered to fly in 2012, 2013. Sarver offered to fly in a plane of girls to keep players in their rooms while on the road trip. One, you're talking about African-American players. Two, he's talking about, what's the only way to make those black guys stay in their room?
Well,
we got to bring in some girls.
Oh, you skipped the first one, though. Players' significant other included by
comments. Yeah, he made comments about players that his wife likely gave great blowjobs. Men say that shit all the time. But when you're talking,
that's not true.
Men don't talk about other men's wives
giving a great blowjob. Has anyone said, "Hey, I bet you your wife gives a great blowjob"?
I say it all the time.
That's you.
Well, I'm a man.
Yes, you are. Okay.
And
my wife does give the best blowjobs ever.
If I want to go on record, baby. In another instance,
she's like this.
Listen this. This is the greatest one ever. In another instance, when the Suns were recruiting a free agent in 2015, Sarver made a joke at the team that the team should have the players impregnate local Phoenix strippers so they would feel connected to the area.
Giving the Suns a potential edge in free agency recruitment. I like that plan.
Do you understand?
Who's paying for the stripper?
Do you understand this cat has devised a plan? He says, we can get these primarily African-American men to impregnate women they don't know, and then they would be connected to community, to the team, not because they have children, not because they have relationships with the women, just because they know they can knock up chicks in Phoenix.
Strippers.
Well,
see, I think that's okay there. There got to be some amazing strippers in Phoenix, though.
Sarver,
for Claire.
He asked
that should be like a benefit. That could be a fringe benefit.
Here's it again.
All right.
Gratuitously asking employees about their sexual orientation. Go back to number one. Did you put your cock in this man's face? Why are you asking male employees about their sexual orientation? And fourth, Sarver made crude comments. Now this is some racist ass shit.
That's Donald Sterling stuff. That's the other part.
Sarver made crude comments about the size of Suns players' genitalia and their sexual appetites.
So he's hey, you want to go down to the shower and look at men's dicks?
Well,
you'd be like,
this goes back
no,
to
I don't want to go look at men's
This goes
dicks.
back to the nature, reason why in pro sports, when they refer to the owners as Mr. Kraft, sounds a lot like Mastercraft.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me as much as you.
Well, when the coach can walk down, what the fuck does the coach need to be doing in the shower?
Oh, he's a pedophile. I mean, not a pedophile. He's a creep, but I don't think Mr. whatever name. The crazy
Mr.
part,
Jones.
The crazy part is that's Sterling. Sterling got in trouble for at least taking his fine ass girlfriend down and saying, "Look at men's genitalia." This dude's just going down there checking out on his own.
But again, Mr. Sterling found absolutely.
Hey, Sterling's wife still alive?
Wasn't Mr. Sterling? I keep saying it. Adam Sterling. Yeah.
Donald Sterling. It's Adam Silver.
Oh, Adam Silver. Same shit. When you're on the team justifying that you can say nigger, 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 and that's not good enough to get you thrown out, you're on the same fucking team.
Can you imagine, though? I mean, this is what we'll see.
No.
I mean, this is about as this is as it makes Sterling look like a Catholic priest.
Sterling's a good guy, and
his wife took his stripper girlfriend, took all her stuff, sued her for it, and got it back.
Just a Bentley, an apartment, and everything else.
But I feel bad for her, man.
Did you really?
No, I just thought it was
so.
funny.
Literally, when it comes down to what we're talking,
so what are you suggesting should have happened to this guy?
I'm suggesting that he should not be fired. I think he should maintain his job. He should keep all the equity in the Suns. I think he should be allowed to pass it on to his wife or kids or anyone he wants. And so that equity can continue to grow.
Sure.
I think he should be allowed to continue to fire the black coaches who won't fire the players or the agents who are responsible for it. I think he should.
You didn't show him the picture of the white guy.
I don't know where it's at. So man, I think we lost it. But it's okay. Trust me, it's a white guy. At the end of the day, I think that they should be able to enjoy all of the benefits that come with owning the team. I think his family should own it.
Oh, there he is.
There's our guy.
This is the arbiter of what is racial animus. This dude.
Right.
David B. Anders.
This is who Miss Adam Sterling hired to conduct a 9-month review.
Can you imagine that?
And he came out to the conclusion that someone who turns to someone who looks like him and says, I can say nigger, 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 nigger. And we don't even know if it's the same coach that he fired for not getting the same agent. So rest assured that what I think should happen is going to happen. He's going to continue to own the Phoenix Suns. His family would be able to own them in perpetuity.
Here's what I think. I think that this is big enough and that there's enough people who are going to be embarrassed by this that he will get suspended for
Maybe
life.
they will now. But again, going back to our initial premise of this entire series, this entire show, the fix is in. And all we're doing is exposing example after example after example.
Saying, hey, you might want to take a look at this.
Right. This is just like when the
This may suggest there's different standards.
This is like when the Democrats were mad and they said, wait a minute, before they raided Mar-a-Lago, they got it signed off by a federal judge.
Right.
But now the federal judge says, I think that's bullshit. Democrats go, how dare you say a federal judge signed it off? The fix is in, and we're going to expose it every time we see it.
Agreed.
And this cat and
that's a good point about the federal judge. And now the judge is a piece of shit. But before, they're pieces of shit, all of them. It's just all of them as a group. You can't. Oh, look, they're our friends. No, they're not.
So have we proved the fix is in this one, Mike?
I think so.
All right.
I think
we'll
so.
see you guys later.
Well, I want to make one more joke about Sarver, but I don't have it though.
All right.
We'll see you guys next, hopefully, week. I keep having a trial going on, and it's never going to happen.
Yeah, we're going to cut all that out.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Bye, guys.
That is all. You are relieved.